Blast from the Grassroots, connecting people and sharing ideas.
Hey yo!
Hi.
Hello.
Where's all our names?
Because I got totally trolled by your hey yo.
So this is Arlene.
This is Gowri.
This is Grace.
And of course, we are at our Blast from the Grassroots. Wait, no. We are at our ABC Focus every Monday.
That's correct.
We analyze anything about ASEAN. And this time we want to analyze about the ASEAN Economic Community.
That's right. And the AEC is actually very, very important for us in terms of economic.
Is it important for Grace? I mean, like seriously?
Well, Grace lives here, so she has to. It has to be important for her.
Categorizing me as a Malaysian already. Why are you excluding
You forgot
me here?
that she's more Malaysian than me certain times.
Yeah, Gowri, you are from Canada, I know. So, the reason why we want to talk about the ASEAN Economic Community, because there's this idea of creating a single market where we want to be something like EU, but not quite like EU, that kind of thing. So for us here, we have this responsibility to actually explain why we are not like EU, but we sort of want or aspire to be like EU, which is having a single market.
Well, EU is a very good example so far to all those ASEAN regions. And then, like you said, Arlene, we are targeting for the single market production pace. But then it comes with a lot of high competitions and also different in terms of economic growth from the different countries. And also language could be the barrier also when it comes to AEC.
Mm-hmm. And just to give a little background, AEC is actually kind of like the realization of the end goal of an economic integration that we are trying to achieve next year. And this is also a part of our Vision 2020, which is based on a combined interest of all our ASEAN member countries that we're all going to come together. We're going to broaden our economic integration among one another and, yes, create a single market and production base, because once we combine together with all the 10 countries, we actually have a huge potential and also a massive amount of human capital that we can provide for the economy.
Maybe a lot of people might not know, but if you go to ASEAN.org, which is the official website for ASEAN, you can actually download the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint. And inside the blueprint, it has everything that you need to know. It even has the declaration on the ASEAN Economic Community and a strategic schedule for ASEAN Economic Community. And apparently, Malaysia only fulfills 70% of the requirement to be a single market.
And of course, if you are too lazy to read, don't worry. That's what we're here for, to give you a summary of this whole AEC blueprint and to explain to you clearer what it's all about and how we're going to implement it.
And also, not to forget, we're gonna mention all about the SMEs as well, because it's been mentioned for a few months, and then it's important to highlight because it's also under AEC as well.
So when it comes to AEC, or we can also call it the ASEAN Single Market, there are actually 5 main areas that they're trying to focus on, which is first one is the free flow of goods in between countries, the free flow of services, the free flow of investment, freer flow of capital, and also free flow of skilled labor. Well, I feel like it's a tongue twister. And in addition to that, the single market will also include 2 important components, which is the integration of sectors and food, agriculture, and forestry. So when we talk about the free flow of goods, how the trade can be easier in between countries. Of course, one of the things they're looking at is the elimination of tariffs.
Tariffs. No, just kidding. I was just sounding a bit cheeky. But Gowri, it seems like it is similar to other forms of regional trade or regional trade bloc. The focus is to reduce government taxes on businesses, and of course, tariff is one of this. But at the same time, it's larger than just reducing the kind of taxes and other barriers that the government would impose in an ordinary sort of international, in an ordinary sort of bilateral trade or trade involving other businesses from outside. But with this, it actually has a Vision 2020.
Yes, we do have a Vision 2020.
And I'm talking about ASEAN Vision 2020, not the Tun Mahathir's Vision 2020. And the Vision 2020 is definitely part of the focus of why we have the ASEAN Economic Community, to realize the goal of economic integration as a single market, expound in the Vision 2020. Wow. And I thought it's just Malaysia. Now it's like the whole of ASEAN is us.
Yeah. Well, as much as the AEC, well, it sounds very promising, and then but again, as much as it sounds very promising, it comes with a lot of challenges, because like I mentioned before, all the countries are the same in terms of economic growth, and also they have a different GDP rates as well. So I just want to highlight a few challenges that AEC will face in 2015 in terms of executing the plans. First, it will be the geographical challenges as well. Second will be, like I mentioned, it's economic growth. And third will be the language. And then the fourth will be the population-wise. Because when it comes to population, of course, we know the Vietnam, and Vietnam also has a huge population. And then the small countries like Laos or Myanmar, they will need to catch up the population, because population does fluctuate economic growth as well.
But when it comes to all the challenges, I would think that the biggest challenge that we're facing is actually awareness, because apart from all these other challenges that we have, people still don't know that we are actually heading for a single market production base.
And when you say people, it's not just society, but even businesses. They don't really utilize or understand how AEC would benefit them regionally. And a lot of the businesses are still focusing on trading outside of Southeast Asia.
And could it be because all of this AEC, ASEAN economic integration, all this dialogue that's happening is usually targeted at certain groups, like maybe CEOs of MNCs that attend? They don't really have people from maybe like the grassroots level.
The SMEs, the small and medium companies. I mean, we spoke to some of the people within the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, and I give the analogy of nasi lemak. Like, let's say your nasi lemak down the street, Cik Mina nasi lemak, and she has like the best nasi lemak in the community, and she wants to expand the business beyond just her community. But how can she do it, and how can she export her version of nasi lemak as part of the Malaysian flavor of nasi lemak?
Actually, if it's just nasi lemak, she can probably call Tony Fernandez, because he's trying to promote nasi lemak in the Philippines, as he said during the ASEAN Back dialogue.
Amazing. So you see, even though it's still pretty vague when it comes to ASEAN Economic Community, but you can see like initiatives from companies, and one of it is actually AirAsia with its ASEAN Pass.
And before we go into the ASEAN Pass, I just want to make a remark about what Tony Fernandez said. He said that all these MNCs should actually hold hands and cooperate with the SMEs, because most of his suppliers, when it comes to food and other services, he always go to SMEs to come in and to help AirAsia to grow bigger. And of course, now we also have the ASEAN Pass that he revealed just a couple of weeks ago, and everyone is already super excited about it.
Of course, it's exciting. But apparently, when it comes to ASEAN Master Plan on Connectivity, this is more related to infrastructure between countries, or within the country itself. For example, how can you go all the way from, let's say, Singapore all the way to Myanmar easily, besides aviation, of course. So these are the things that people need to figure out. I mean, you need to build roads, you need to build better public transportation system. Even within Malaysia, we have problems with our light railway trains. And these are the areas that of course, governments in Southeast Asia need to address, because we have to face it, majority of the governments or countries in Southeast Asia are still lagging behind in terms of the mentality, the infrastructure, and the connectivity between society. Apparently, only 50% of the ASEAN Master Plan on connectivity has been realized. That's a huge problem.
And of course, we, like you mentioned, apart from aviation, we also need to look at other ways of getting, because the problem with us, we're not like the European countries where it's so easy to just take the train and you can just go hopping to like so many different countries. Over here, we of course have the South China Sea. We are separated in so many ways, and we have so many little islands. So for how is AEC actually going to reach out to so specifically to all these islands and people all over the region and let them benefit from this?
And we have to also understand that ASEAN is understaffed. For example, ASEAN Secretariat, do you know that it has only 300 people? It's less than probably the workforce of certain MNC in Malaysia, or majority of the MNCs in Malaysia. While European Union or European Commission employs roughly, guess the number, it's like
3,000.
more than that. 3,000 times 10.
30,000.
34,000 people.
34,000. And
I mean, you can imagine, like, they are ready to create all these different linkages to address different problems. When you have one person to address, like, probably the problem of 10 countries is not going to be easy, and is definitely not going to help in terms of pushing the ASEAN economic community forward.
And speaking of that, of course, like I mentioned earlier, one of their key focus is the free flow of skilled labor. But when it comes to labor, there's a lot of issues in regarding to visas, employment passes, and also when it comes to their working rights, because a lot of people don't even know what their rights is in their own country, and this is like
Tell me about the North Korean that work in Sarawak.
Grace, you want to say something?
I'm sorry, it's nothing to do with me, but it was really sad to hear all this news coming from North Korean side, the workers in the Sarawak. But then I would love to also highlight the importance of TPP and then RCEP as well when it comes to AEC, because it's been actually, we talked about it a few times.
Yeah.
But there are also, as much as those two free trade agreement is important, there are also the few concerns that we cannot forget to the effect of all this free trade agreement in the poorer countries, let's say Cambodia, Myanmar, or even Laos. How are they going to follow all those policies, regulations that have been made? And then the AEC is looking forward to improve all this economic growth in all over the ASEAN region. But then what if they can't follow? Because they're just the weaker economic growth countries, and they just have to catch up all those rapid speed, the growth of the other countries.
It's
so
like,
how are they going to absorb and incorporate?
But you make a very good statement, because it's not everyone can join European Union. You have to have a certain economic status. You don't have to be a very rich country, but you have to be stable, because you cannot have like a really poor country with a very rich country inside the European Union, and that will be unequal in terms of the votes.
And it's like being in a classroom actually, where we have like the smartest kid and maybe the kids who are not doing so well, and then you have like one teacher who's teaching at like an advanced level, and not everyone can keep up with that you have to use different approaches with different students, and in this case as well, different approaches with different countries, because apart from the economic challenges, there are also a lot of political complications that's been going on in this region.
Glad that you mentioned that. I think the elephant in the room is the ASEAN way, which means that in the ASEAN Charter itself, there's this one clause saying that individual countries in Southeast Asia do not have the right to interfere with the politics or the domestic issues within the country. Let's say you want to do business in Myanmar, but then they have a huge issue relating to how they treat the Rohingya community, And because of that, the way you do business that is a bit complicated because there's this huge atmosphere of fear. And the country might be unstable as well. Who knows? There might be a separatist group, or there might be people who just want to harm you because you look a bit like Rohingya. And the worst part of it is the huge influx of refugee. And we witnessed this in Malaysia. Apparently, we have a very high number of urban refugees to the extent that the government is just not able to manage it. For example, every day 3,000 people come and apply for UNHCR's identification card. And a lot of them are being turned away because it takes a long time to do it.
But then this issue is not really acknowledged by the government. Even the people around, even if they know, they wouldn't go and they report the issue about it. So it regards to the human rights.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you were just to walk into KL, you see them pretty much everywhere. And the government is probably, of course, aware of this, but they still haven't come up with a solid plan to address this problem with the workers. Do they actually have a permit to be here? Are they here by legal means, or their whatever visa has expired and they actually have to leave instead of just staying on?
And remember the earlier news that reported, which is related to, for example, Singapore only allows people from East Asia as part of the to work in service sector. When you want to have ASEAN economic community, you will see different nationalities within Southeast Asia, just moving around for work. You cannot just say, hey, you're from the wrong race or wrong nationality, you're not allowed to work. That's a bit discriminatory and racist in a way.
It is, and of course with the AEC, they cannot still stick to that same policy or that same mentality where you want to reach out of Southeast Asia. Of course, they can still do that by choice, but their priority would still have to be making use of the production base that we are trying to go for.
And then focusing on the issues right now, I just want to mention one more, which is all these 4 countries, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Well, Vietnam is developing, and the Myanmar is also, they have finally opened the platform to all those foreign investors to come into their countries, but they still have these problems when it comes to skilled labor and also ability to develop the technology. But they also have a still lack in their management skills, and also problem in marketing and also distribution channels. So all these small factor does affect the economic growth in their country. And with the AEC plan in 2015, they should find a way to catch up to all those policies and regulations.
And I also want to talk a little bit about food, agriculture, and forestry, because apart from the economic policies and all, when it comes to agriculture and forestry, even in terms of environmental issues, we're quite lagging behind in that sense as well. And in terms of going for infrastructure development and all, when it comes to development, it always has to be a sustainable development, which is also another problem that we're facing in KL, because every time there's a rain, it gets flooded so fast, so easily, because probably back then they did not take that into consideration when building all these buildings and structures. They didn't care about a proper drainage system and all. So and this is also highlighted here. And to do their agriculture activities, to go to their forestry, we still have all these open burnings, and also the fishery, and there has been a lot of policies that they're coming up with, and to promote this regional cooperation between the countries. I think this is also another area that they have to focus on and not just overlook it because it's environment.
So another area that I think we should also address, besides all the different issues that we have mentioned earlier, is how countries outside of Southeast Asia will react to this. Would it benefit them as well? In a way that I think for ASEAN Economic Community, it's not just for the benefit of the 10 countries within Southeast Asia, but also countries within our neighbors, especially India and China, and of course Korea, Japan, and all that. In a way that it has to be very clear to the extent that um, society and countries want to invest in Southeast Asia as a region, not just focusing on certain individual countries.
Definitely. The first thing that came in my mind was the technology, especially Korea and Japan. They are famous for, and there are lots of popular brands. And then definitely they will look for their potential investment in the ASEAN countries. Well, Korea and Japan, they are called as ASEAN X, but still they are not really a part of ASEAN, but they're looking at the more potential in all those regions. So when it comes to technology and also automobile industries, definitely they will look for more chances and opportunities to invest.
And speaking of other countries, actually, I also remember that during the ASEAN Back press conference, it was mentioned that even the EU and South Korea actually has come up with certain policies on how they can make use of the AEC, and they're kind of, I would say, one step ahead of most countries in Southeast Asia, because even in here we're not too clear about how we're going to do it, and of course the Business Advisory Council is trying very hard in that sense as well to increase awareness, especially among the SMEs, because they have the biggest potential in moving this whole thing forward. But it seems that even outside of Southeast Asia, people are already aware that AEC is happening, and they're already coming up with different measures on how they can come in and use AEC to benefit them.
So if ASEAN Economic Community were to be realized, what are the things that you individually look forward to? Okay,
with the Gowri.
Okay, maybe I should answer first, because for me, right, I feel that for so long the economy of Southeast Asia has been dominated by big companies that have that luxury to travel around, to spend money on all these different instruments to ensure that their business will go on well. But to me, I have a huge sympathy towards, or a huge favor towards small startups that are eager to expand itself, but do not have the angel investor, do not have the capacity to do it. And to me, if the ASEAN Economic Community can address the problem where small businesses can go around Southeast Asia to do business without worrying on whether they have enough financial resources or not, that would be the best.
For me, it will be more on human rights, to focus on their freer flow of human capital in between countries, because we already see it happening. We have Filipinos coming to Malaysia, we have Malaysians going to Singapore, we have Indonesians coming over as well, going over to Thailand. So of course we want to increase this, but before that we have to go back to protecting the workers' right, because that is actually the most important thing, especially if you want to take care of your relationship with the other president, the other prime minister of other countries. You have to take care of their people, and if we're going to come together as one ASEAN Economic Community, we have to get over that mindset of migrant workers coming in, and we have to start treating everyone as equals, because right now we still have prejudice sometimes against Indonesian workers. We feel like we are more entitled than them because this is not their country, and especially when it comes to Myanmar workers and all, because we know that they have a lot less resources in their country, a lot more opportunities. So it's very important for us to get over that mindset.
Well, Gowri made a very sincere opinion in the human rights. But then to me, when I think about the AEC 2015 or in the future, the first thing comes in my mind is the tourism. Because of all these 10 region, the countries in ASEAN, they have their own unique way of presenting their countries. And definitely with the oldest ASEAN Pass or that has been introduced recently, will definitely benefit all these countries around the ASEAN.
So did you like the food that you ate?
During
the dinner,
it was
where it features during the handover ceremony, where Malaysia will be the chairman, the chairperson for the chair for the
ASEAN 2015.
Sorry, today I'm a bit blur. But they also feature like like food from all over Southeast Asia during the dinner. So you like it?
I honestly,
Honestly?
believe that it could have been better, but well, not only tourism includes a lot of facts like hotels, restaurants, even the places. All the governments can actually take the consideration in terms of developing all this, tourism attractions. So that will enhance the relationship also between the countries to be able to attract more. For example, maybe perhaps foreign investors or tourist attraction to increase the economic growth, basically.
And all this can only be realized either is human rights, SME, or even in terms of industry like tourism, if there's some form of standardization. Like you mentioned earlier, like different countries have different realities, and before we go towards a community, we need to have some form of standardization, of regulation, of charters and all that. Okay, that's all from our show today.
This is Gowri.
And this is Arlene.
That was Grace.
That was Grace.
And
so now it's who?
hope you enjoyed listening to our AEC explanation, and let us know if you have any feedback, anything else that you want us to clarify about ASEAN.
And of course, listen to us at durianasean.com. Go to TuneIn and search for Durian ASEAN, one word together. And we hope that we can serve you more news or more issues on Southeast Asia.
And definitely please stay tuned for the next section. It is very, very interesting. We have invited very special guests, so stay tuned.